Hello friends, today we are going to delve deeper into archetypes and discuss the innocent and the caregiver. So we're back with archetypes today. I told you I would continue this series and that is exactly what I'm doing. I've decided the best way to manage this is to do 2 archetypes at a time, resulting in 6 videos. So today we're going to start off with the innocent and the caregiver. I will begin with a little reminder about what archetypes are, but I highly recommend that you click the link up in the corner here and watch my first video on the topic, since it gives a bit of a rundown on the general concept. But archetypes represent a primordial image, character, or pattern of circumstances that recurs consistently enough to be considered a universal concept or situation. Given this definition, you can see that archetypes, when applied to literature, can be extremely helpful. While there are a wide range of defined archetypes, I'm going to be walking you through a selection of 12 which are widely considered your main archetypes. We appropriately start off with the innocent. The archetypical innocent has a youthful sense of wonder. In many cases, they will be a child or a younger character, but this isn't a necessity. Many adult characters can carry traits of the innocent as well. Think about Buddy the Elf in Elf or Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz. The innocent is easily impressed, and they tend to remain positive in the midst of negative situations. They have a strong sense of hope and are definitely what you would call glass half full personalities. But on the negative side of things, their naivety can result in risk-taking, denial of not-so-happy realities, and they can be very easily disappointed. With these traits, you can see one thing about the innocent, which is different from a lot of other archetypes, in that they can't stay an innocent. And here I'll include a side archetype of the orphan. I actually battled with not including the orphan in this series, but chose to go with the original 12 Jungian archetypes, of which the orphan is not actually included. But the thing is, the orphan archetype is incredibly common with fictional characters who evolve into the hero. You see it over and over again in characters like Luke Skywalker and Harry Potter. In the case of the innocent and the orphan, these are what I'd call starter archetypes, of which have endless possibilities for character arcs that lead them to develop into any other archetype. Great examples of innocents who evolve into heroes exist in Lord of the Rings, and another orphan too. Frodo is the orphan archetype, while Sam, Merry, and Pippin are all innocents and also jesters who take on heroic traits by the end of the story. There was a time when every one of us was an innocent, and by writing an innocent character, your reader will get to identify with that time again. This can trigger a nostalgia for simpler times and build a strong, almost parental connection. When writing, you want your reader to be invested in the evolutions that your characters go through, so placing an innocent into the world and crafting their growth into a hero or perhaps a villain can really tug at the heartstrings. After all, how many of us can say we don't long for, at least a little bit, simpler times when happily ever after seemed guaranteed? As mentioned in my first video, Carl Jung first coined the archetype named the innocent child, or eternal child, encompassing literal children and those who just never quite grew up at heart. And that evolved into the innocent archetype we know today. To wrap up our definition of the innocent, I'll include some kind of bullet points from a document titled The 12 Archetypes, based on the research of Dr. Carol S. Pearson at the Center for Archetypical Studies and Applications. The innocent's goal is to remain in safety. They fear abandonment. Their way of problem solving or facing their dragon is to deny it or seek rescue. Their response to tasks is fidelity and discernment. Their gifts and virtues are optimism, trust, hope, faith, and simplicity, while their pitfalls are naivety, childish dependence, denial, and obliviousness. Their addictive quality is denial, and their addictions could be consumerism, sugar, or cheerfulness. Toxic positivity? That would be the innocent. Moving on to the caregiver. If you're looking for selfless, that is the caregiver archetype. These archetypes can come off soft due to their caring nature, but are oftentimes the strongest characters in the story. After all, it takes real strength and courage to separate from the ego to the point where you would sacrifice your own life for that of a friend or a child. Caregivers are kind, trustworthy, and forgiving, often living simple and humble lives, but they are the backbone of those around them. While the hero may need to make tough decisions that reflect on an entire population, they often would not be able to do so without the decisions made by their caregiver. And for innocents looking for the safety they crave, the caregiver is the perfect one to provide it. The caregiver is not what I would call a starter archetype. The traits they carry are so ingrained into who they are as a fully developed character that they can't be muted. These characters prioritize helping others, nurturing and protecting them over all else. You can see the caregiver in Charlotte from Charlotte's Web, Mary Poppins, and Hagrid in the Harry Potter novels. Like with the innocent, most of us have experienced the influence of a caregiver in our lives. For many, our thoughts will first go to our parents, but for those who did not have parents who fulfilled the caregiver role, it could be an older sibling, a teacher, or a mentor, maybe even a boss at your first job. As you'll see with all of these archetypes, they were birthed because of how universally relatable they are. And turning back to Dr. Pearson's research, this time on the caregiver's goal is to help others. Their fear is selfishness. When faced with their dragon, they will either care for the dragon itself or for those it harms. In response to tasks, they give without maiming self or others. Their virtues are compassion, generosity, nurturing, and community, while their pitfalls are martyrdom, enabling others, codependence, and guilt-tripping. Their addictive quality is rescuing, while their addictions could be caretaking and codependence. If you want to keep your innocent as long as possible, assign them a caregiver. And for now, that's all I've got. I will be coming out with 5 more parts in this series, as I mentioned, each with another archetypical duo, but for now, I really hope you enjoyed my rundown of the innocent and the caregiver. I do hope that you'll go check out my first video in the series. It goes into the history of archetypes and just a better explanation on what exactly they are. And I'll link it above and below and at the end of the video, all those good places. Now, have you written using archetypes before, and specifically the innocent and or the caregiver? If so, let me know in the comments section. I'm very interested to hear what you did with these character types and maybe how they evolved if that doesn't give away too much of your story. A bit of housekeeping. Apologies for not actually running sprints last week when I said that I would. I'm in the process of trying to redesign my schedule, and adjusting has been really tough. I tried to do sort of a later thing, and it turns out, even though I used to be nocturnal, the years of doing things earlier in the day have sort of stuck, and now I'm trying to get back to that, and it's been a thing. But I promise, this weekend, Saturday, 1 to 3 p.m. Eastern, I will be here on YouTube running sprints. And we've been back to sprinting on my Discord server Wednesdays and Thursdays. Those are actually happening. These sessions run from 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern again, and the join link can be found in my video description, and I'll try to pin it in a comment too. As always, thank you so much for stopping by. Please remember to like, subscribe, hit the bell button so you actually get notified when I post a new video. And last but not least, I hope that you are having a day that is just as wonderful as you are. Bye.